I used to joke that I was the family's emergency contact. Not because I was the oldest. Not because I was the favorite. But because whenever something went wrong, my phone rang. Flat tire? Sweetie, can you cash at me $300? Insurance lapse? You make good money, it's nothing for you. Mortgage short? It's just temporary. Families help each other. I was 24 when I started covering the small things. I was 26 when the small things became everything. And by 28, my name was quietly attached to more of my family's life than anyone realized. The house? Refinanced under a trust structure my uncle's lawyer set up, with me as financial guarantor. The insurance policies? Auto-drafted from my account. The credit line they used for emergencies? Opened with my income verification. I wasn't rich. I was just responsible. There's a difference. But responsibility looks a lot like weakness to people who feel entitled to you. My mom used to introduce me as the reliable one. She'd smile when she said it. Like it was a compliment. But at home? You're too sensitive. Stop acting dramatic. You think you're better than us now? Every success I had came with a warning. Don't outshine your brother. Don't make your cousins uncomfortable. Don't forget where you came from. I never forgot. That was the problem. I remembered everything. I remembered being 17 and paying the electricity bill with money from my first job because my mom forgot. I remembered my brother calling me selfish when I wouldn't co-sign his third car loan. I remembered holidays where I brought the food, paid for the catering, covered the decorations, and still got called cold because I didn't hug everyone long enough. You don't notice when you become the foundation. Because foundations aren't celebrated. They're stepped on. The voicemail came on a Tuesday night. 8:43 p.m. I had just finished reviewing contracts for a client. My laptop was still open. My apartment was quiet, the kind of peaceful quiet you earn. My phone buzzed. Missed call. Mom. I didn't answer. Not because I was angry. Because I was tired. 30 seconds later, another buzz. Voicemail. I almost didn't listen to it. I wish I hadn't. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Don't come by the house anymore. Pause. You've made it clear you think you're better than us. Pause. You're out. Don't come back. Click. 31 seconds. No explanation. No conversation. Just exile. I stared at the wall for a long time after that. Not crying. Just still. You ever get hit with something so absurd that your brain refuses to process it? I replayed it. You're out. Out of what? The house I refinanced? The trust one legally structured? The insurance policies I funded? I checked my messages. 3 texts from my brother. You really crossed a line. You embarrassed Mom. Maybe you need to humble yourself. I hadn't spoken to any of them in 3 days. The line I crossed? I told my mom I wouldn't send another $5,000 without seeing where the last one went. That was it. That was the betrayal. Accountability. I didn't respond that night. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I opened my laptop instead. And I reviewed every document with my name on it. Trust documents. Mortgage agreements. Autodraft authorizations. Emergency credit extensions. I read them slowly. Methodically. Like someone studying the architecture of their own exploitation. And that's when I saw it clearly. Everything was tied to me. Not emotionally. Legally. Financially. Procedurally. If I stepped back, the entire structure wobbled. I don't think my mom understood that. I don't think my brother did either. They thought you're out meant I would beg. Apologize. Send money to earn my place back. That's how it had always worked. But something inside me shifted that night. It wasn't rage. It wasn't revenge. It was clarity. And clarity is colder than anger. At 9:12 p.m., I texted back. One word. Okay. That was it. No explanation. No argument. No defense. Just. Okay. I turned my phone face down. Went to bed. And slept better than I had in months. I woke up to 46 missed calls. Mom. Brother. 2 aunts. An unknown number. Voicemails stacked like bricks. I didn't listen to them right away. I showered. Made coffee. Sat on my couch. Then I opened the first one. Call me immediately. Second one. What did you do? Third one, my brother's voice, no longer arrogant. You need to fix this. Fix what? That's when the unknown number called again. I answered. Hi, is this, he said my full name. Yes. This is Daniel Mercer, representing the family trust. Pause. We have a serious problem. I leaned back. Finally. Someone was speaking my language. What kind of problem? I asked. Silence on the other end. Then. It appears you've initiated a freeze on outgoing distributions. I looked at my laptop screen. The confirmation email was still open. Trust disbursements, paused. Mortgage autopay, suspended pending review. Insurance drafts, cancelled. Credit line, restricted. All temporary. All legal. All mine to control. Yes, I said calmly. I did. Another pause. Your mother was under the impression you wouldn't. She left me a voicemail telling me I'm out, I interrupted softly. Silence again. Longer this time. I see, he said. I almost laughed. Do you? Do you really see? Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't reacting emotionally. I was responding structurally. And structures don't care about feelings. They care about signatures. Mine was everywhere. My phone kept buzzing in my hand. Text after text. You're overreacting. This is petty. Mom was just upset. You're ruining everything. No. I wasn't ruining anything. I was stepping away. And apparently, stepping away looked a lot like collapse to people who had been standing on me. At 11:47 a.m., my mom finally texted something different. We need to talk. Not. I'm sorry. Not. I didn't mean it. Just. We need to talk. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small reading her name on my screen. I felt separate. Like I was watching a system malfunction from a distance. I typed back. I agree. Let's involve the lawyer. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally. This doesn't need lawyers. I stared at that message. And for the first time in my life, I understood something clearly. It always needed lawyers. It always needed boundaries. It always needed consequences. And now? They were finally happening. By evening, my brother called again. No insults this time. Just panic. The house payment bounced. I didn't respond. The insurance company called. Silence. Are you seriously doing this? I looked around my quiet apartment. At the peace I built alone. And I realized something simple. They thought my love was permanent. They never imagined it had terms. But love without respect becomes funding. And funding can be withdrawn. That night, I replayed the voicemail one last time. "You're out. Don't come back." I whispered back to the empty room. "Okay." And this time, it didn't hurt. It felt like freedom. The first thing people do when they lose control over you is try to scare you back into place. By day 3, it wasn't just missed calls. It was reputation warfare. My aunt posted on Facebook. Some people forget who raised them. No names. But everyone knew. My cousin texted. "You're really going to let your mom lose her house?" Interesting choice of words. Let. Like I was God. Like she hadn't told me I was out. The house. Let's talk about that house. 3 bedrooms. A wraparound porch. The same place I learned how to ride a bike. The same place where I paid the water bill at 17. The same place where my mom once told me, "If you ever make real money, don't think that makes you special." I didn't think it made me special. I thought it made me useful. That was my mistake. On the 4th day, the lawyer called again. His voice was tighter this time. "Your mother would like to schedule a meeting with you present?" I asked. "Yes." "And the trust documentation available?" Pause. "Yes." "Good," I said. Friday works. There was something powerful about watching professionals adjust their tone when they realize you understand contracts. No more emotional guilt language. Now it was clauses. Terms. Authority. And authority, unfortunately for my family, was mine. Friday came. I wore navy. Not black, too aggressive. Not white, too symbolic. Just calm. I walked into the office and saw them sitting there. Mom. Brother. Aunt. For a second, my chest tightened. Because no matter how strong you become, family can still feel like gravity. But then I remembered the voicemail. "You're out." And gravity lost its pull. My mom didn't hug me. She didn't smile. She just looked annoyed. Like I had inconvenienced her. "This is ridiculous," she said immediately. The lawyer cleared his throat. "We're here to review the current trust structure." I opened my folder. Color-coded tabs. Highlighted sections. I watched my brother's eyes move as the lawyer explained. As financial guarantor, she has full authority to suspend distributions. My aunt blinked. My mom leaned forward. "You would really let us lose everything over one argument?" One argument. That's how she framed it. I took a slow breath. "You told me I was out. I was upset. And I was funding the house." Silence. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. "Technically, without reinstatement of distributions, the mortgage default timeline begins in 32 days. There it was. Time. A countdown. My brother looked at me like I had just detonated something. "You're unbelievable," he muttered. I didn't react. Because here's the truth. For years, they had power over my emotions. Now I had power over the system. And systems don't respond to insults. "I want 3 things," I said calmly. Everyone froze. I continued. 1. Full financial transparency for the past 6 years. My mom scoffed. 2. Removal of my name from all liabilities within 30 days. My brother's jaw tightened. And 3. A written acknowledgement that I am not financially responsible for any future obligations. The room felt smaller. My aunt whispered, "She's serious." Yes. I was. For the first time in my life, I wasn't asking to be treated fairly. I was requiring it. My mom leaned back in her chair. You're punishing us. No. I thought. I'm protecting myself. But I didn't say it like that. Instead I said, I'm responding to being told I don't belong. That landed differently. Because belonging is emotional. But contracts? Contracts are not. The meeting ended without resolution. But something had shifted. They had expected tears. Begging. Apologies. Instead they got documentation. And documentation is much harder to argue with. That night, the insults started again. You've changed. You're cold. You care more about money than family. It's fascinating how quickly people call you materialistic when you stop paying their bills. I didn't respond. Instead, I scheduled something else. An independent audit. Of every transaction tied to the trust. And when the preliminary report came back, my stomach dropped. Not because of what I found, but because of what it confirmed. Funds labeled home repairs. Never completed. Medical emergency. No records. Temporary hardship. Transferred to my brother's personal account. I stared at the numbers. It wasn't one mistake. It was a pattern. For years. And I had never questioned it. Because I believed loyalty meant silence. The second meeting was different. This time, I brought copies. Highlighted. Organized. The lawyer's expression changed as he flipped through pages. Can you explain these transfers? He asked my mom. She didn't look at me. She looked at him. It was family money. No, he said carefully. It was trust money. And trust money has rules. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. But inside? Something unauded. Because I wasn't crazy. I wasn't dramatic. I wasn't ungrateful. I had been used. Systematically. And when you realize you've been used, the guilt evaporates. My brother finally snapped. So what? We needed help. You make more than all of us. There it was. The real resentment. Not that I froze the trust. That I succeeded. You could have asked, I said quietly. We shouldn't have to ask, he shot back. Exactly. That was the problem. Entitlement feels natural to the entitled. By week 3, things escalated. The real estate agent called me directly. There's an issue with the pending house sale. I blinked. What house sale? Silence. Your mother listed the property 2 months ago. 2 months ago. Before the voicemail. Before the fight. Before I froze anything. They were planning to sell the house. Using the equity I had secured. Without telling me. And because of the trust structure? My signature was required for closing. Which meant they couldn't sell without me. I thanked the agent and hung up. Then I did something simple. I sent one email. To the lawyer. Subject line. Intent to withhold consent pending investigation. Professional. Clear. Devastating. My phone exploded within minutes. You're sabotaging us. You're being vindictive. You always think you're smarter than everyone. No. I was just finally reading the fine print. And the fine print had my name on it. The third meeting was explosive. My mom slammed her purse on the table. You would really block this sale? Yes, I said. After everything we've done for you? I almost laughed. Everything? Like what? The emotional guilt? The manipulation? The public shaming? You told me not to come back, I reminded her. Her face hardened. You're heartless. Maybe. Or maybe I was just done bleeding for people who called it love. The lawyer cleared his throat again. If consent is not granted, the sale cannot proceed. My brother stood up. You're destroying this family. No. I thought. I'm exposing it. And exposure feels like destruction when you've built everything on secrecy. When I left that office, something strange happened. I didn't feel powerful. I felt calm. Because revenge is loud. But boundaries? Boundaries are quiet. And quiet is terrifying to people who rely on chaos to control you. That night, I listened to the voicemail one more time. You're out. Don't come back. I deleted it. Not because I forgave her. But because I didn't need proof anymore. The consequences were already unfolding. The house went into pre-default 2 weeks later. Not because I wanted it to. Because math doesn't bend for emotions. And for the first time in my life, I didn't bend either. The family group chat went silent. No more passive-aggressive posts. No more inspirational quotes about loyalty. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that happens when people realize you're not bluffing. But behind that quiet? Panic. Because the real estate agent had officially informed them. Sale cancelled. Buyer walked away. Without my signature, nothing moved. And without the sale? They couldn't clear the debt. And without clearing the debt? The timeline kept ticking. 3 weeks after the voicemail, my mom showed up at my apartment. Unannounced. She hadn't been there before. I never invited her. When I opened the door, she looked smaller. Still proud. Still defensive. But smaller. You've made your point, she said immediately. No hello. No apology. Just accusation disguised as exhaustion. I didn't make a point, I replied calmly. I made a decision. She stepped inside without asking. Looked around. My space. Clean. Minimal. Peaceful. You really think you're better than us now, she muttered. There it was again. That narrative. The one they always used when they couldn't control me. No, I said. I think I'm done being used. That landed. Because this wasn't a lawyer's office. This was my territory. And here? There were no documents to hide behind. Only truth. You're destroying your own family over money. No, I said softly. You tried to sell a house under my name without telling me. Her face flickered. Just for a second. Then hardened again. That was temporary. So was the voicemail. But its impact wasn't. You left me a message, I continued quietly. You said I was out. Don't come back. You know I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? Silence. She didn't answer. Because there was no version of that sentence that didn't mean exile. Then she tried something new. Tears. Not dramatic. Strategic. You have no idea how hard it's been, she whispered. I felt the old instinct rise in my chest. The urge to fix it. To comfort her. To reverse everything just to make the tension disappear. That instinct had run my life for years. But this time? I let it pass. I know exactly how hard it's been, I said. I've been funding it. That ended the tears. You're selfish, she snapped. That word. It used to devastate me. Selfish meant ungrateful. Selfish meant cold. Selfish meant unlovable. But now? Selfish just meant I finally prioritized myself. If protecting myself is selfish, I said calmly. Then yes. She left without another word. No hug. No resolution. Just wounded pride. And for the first time in my life, I didn't chase after her. The official legal notice arrived 4 days later. The trust audit was complete. Misuse of funds confirmed. Not criminal, but deceptive. Structured in a way that benefited my brother heavily. I could have pursued it further. Fraud investigation. Court. Public records. I didn't. Not because I was weak, but because exposure had already done its job. The final meeting was the quietest one. No yelling. No insults. Just fatigue. The lawyer laid out the restructuring agreement. I would be removed as guarantor. Receive repayment schedule for misallocated funds. Retain authority to approve or deny property transactions until debts cleared. In exchange, I would not pursue litigation. My brother wouldn't meet my eyes. My aunt avoided looking at me entirely. And my mom? She stared at the table. Because this wasn't about money anymore. It was about power. And she had lost it. You're really going through with this, my brother said finally. Yes. You don't care if we lose the house? I paused. And I answered honestly. I care. But I care more about not losing myself again. That was the truth. And truth doesn't need volume. The repayment plan began the next month. Small installments. Automatic transfers. It wasn't about the amount. It was about acknowledgement. About balance. About correction. 2 months later, the house finally sold. Legally. Properly. With full disclosure. With my consent. And when the closing happened? No one invited me. Which was fitting. Because I wasn't their safety net anymore. I was simply separate. The last message I ever received about it was from my mom. 3 words. It's done now. I stared at the screen. And after a long pause, I replied with 3 of my own. So am I. People think revenge looks explosive. They think it's shouting. Public humiliation. Courtroom drama. But sometimes, revenge is quieter. It's watching the system collapse the moment you step out of it. It's hearing panic in the voices that once called you dramatic. It's realizing the insults were always projection. Selfish. Cold. Ungrateful. No. I was exhausted. And when exhaustion turns into clarity, you stop volunteering for your own exploitation. A year has passed now. I don't fund emergencies anymore. I don't answer midnight guilt calls. I don't apologize for asking questions. My life is smaller. Quieter. Healthier. And the most shocking part? No one has left me another voicemail telling me I'm out. Because they finally understand something they should have known all along. The person you take for granted is usually the one holding everything together. And when she decides to let go, you don't get to call it revenge. You call it consequences.